Good morning, all. So, in the last lecture, we completed unit number one. And if you go through that all lectures, I take 13 lectures for unit number one, where university is expecting only 6 lectures to complete that unit. But we take nearly double lectures in order to get better idea about unit number one, which is basics of kinematics. And of course, it is all almost theoretical with some numericals discuss on kinematic chain and degree of freedom. So I request everyone, including regular and DSC students, go through that all videos, prepare unit number one properly. Today I will share PPTs of unit number one, and if possible, I also share my handwritten notes to you. So prepare that. I will take class test based on unit number one. Schedule I will give you when that class test will be, but you should prepare for that. All students. So today we are going to start unit number two, that is static and dynamic force analysis. Okay. Now, what we have to discuss in this unit? This is our heading of unit number two. Before starting the syllabus, I want to clear some concepts which are required to discuss this topic. So, I want to ask you what is main difference between statics and dynamics? This topic already we discussed in first unit. So, I want answer from your side. You can either tell by unmuting your mic or you can type in chat box. So, tell me what is difference between statics and dynamics? Of course, it is not explained at SC level. It is known to you. It must be known to you. Yes, anyone?
Study of body, stationary body, whereas dynamics is study of body in particular motion.
Okay. Any other? Static means body at rest, stationary. See, when you're talking about a fluid, someone saying fluid and all. Remember, when we talk about mechanics, there are different types of mechanics, like a rigid body mechanics that you learn in diploma first year, or regular students you learn engineering mechanics. That is nothing but rigid body mechanics. Then now in second year, uh, this semester you are going through fluid mechanics. Then in strength of material, that is also a deformable body mechanics. Strength of machines means SOM is nothing but deformable body mechanics. While in first year you studied rigid body mechanics. So there are different types of mechanics. So we can't say fluid and all. When I said statics and dynamics, means I'm talking about mechanics in general way. I have not defined whether it is rigid body, whether it is a deformable body mechanics, or you can say it is a fluid mechanics. I'm saying in general. Of course, most of you are right. Yes, please. Anyone want to say something? Remember, see, when you are talking about theory of machines, and we know that theory of machines deals with interaction of forces and motions. Now, the inertia forces are produced because of masses of accelerating components of a machine. I told you, we are dealing with forces and motions. And I just introduced one more word called inertia forces. So inertia forces are produced because of mass of accelerating components of machine. So whenever there is motion, whenever there is acceleration of body, there will be inertia forces. Now, when I have to say define statics and dynamics, I can say when the inertia forces produced are small and negligible as compared to other forces, then analysis is called as static force analysis. Now, particularly I specifically define in terms of inertia forces. Even though your all definitions are right, when body is at rest and when body is in motion, that is dynamics and statics. Okay, that is right. But we define it by considering our topic, what we want to define here, what we want to study here. So as we are more interested in inertia forces for further analysis of mechanisms, so I define statics and dynamics in that scenario. So how I define statics? When inertia forces are small, first thing remember why inertia forces are produced whenever there is accelerating components. So inertia forces are produced because of mass of accelerating components. Some body is in motion having some mass, then there will be inertia force. And when these inertia forces are small and negligible as compared to other forces, then analysis is called as a static force analysis. But when inertia effect due to mass of accelerating component is considerable, or if we have to consider that along with other forces, then that analysis is called as a dynamic force analysis. I can see here what I told you. In static force analysis, we are going to neglect inertia forces. See, inertia forces are neglecting means what? We are considering it as stationary. Inertia produced due to motion, and we are not considering the force produced due to motion. So it is statics. Not audible? Hello? Someone is saying not audible. Hello? Please reply if I'm not audible. Hello?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay. And the screen also visible properly?
So it is but bit blur.
Blur, okay. Might be it is network problem.
Yes, a blur.
So one.
Hello?
So can you please tap the screen of the camera so it will be clear?
Yes, I already tapped it. I already tapped it. Okay, the point you are getting might be it is network problem. That's why maybe it blur. Okay, we'll see whether it is getting clear or not. We'll wait and then we'll see. Okay. See, is it clear what we are considering about statics? Yes. Statics means we are going to neglect inertia forces. Dynamics means, yes, this inertia forces are considerable or consider. Clear? Or it is already known to you. I hope screen is clear now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Inertia forces are negligible. Or, sorry, here it is are considered. So that's what basics about statics and dynamics by considering inertia forces concept. Now, all of you know that I want to again discuss some concept like rigid body, which are already discussed in mechanics. Then what is inertia?
Sir.
This is all physics concept. Huh? I want to just highlight this and then we'll go for next topics. Then what is inertia force? Being a mechanical engineer, a good mechanical engineer, you must know all these terms. Inertia force, inertia torque. I will tell you why we require this. But I hope these all are basic concepts. Then mass moment of inertia. Okay, at least this. And then we know the next topic is we required is D'Alembert's principle. And finally, we must know about SHM. Once you know SHM, then we must have knowledge of time period, what is time period, and frequency. At the same time, amplitude also, but we know it. Okay, time period, then frequency. Okay, why I listed these topics? These are the prerequisites for starting our main topic. Actually, this is just introduction. All topics we covered in your prerequisite topics like engineering mechanics, strength of material, uh, then basic physics, 12 physics, or you can say your diploma physics. You also learn these topics. So I start from first topic. What is rigid body? Yes. Don't waste more time. I just touch these topics and then I'll go ahead. Yes. What is rigid body? When body is called as rigid body?
So when it shows the resistance to forces.
Okay. When it shows resistance. Important thing, remember, whenever body does not undergo any appreciable deformation. Yes, that's what. Does not undergo deformation. So when we talk about rigid body, only one word remember, it does not undergo any deformation. No deformation. Theoretically, I'm saying. When it does not undergo any deformation, while transmitting motion or forces. Suppose one body is there, and on that body we are applying some forces. Let's say rigid body, having some particles. We are applying some forces from all directions, or any direction you can say. Under the action of forces, if this body is not undergoing any deformation, so when there is no deformation of body, no appreciable deformation of body, then the body is called as a rigid body. And in engineering mechanics, what you learn, we assume, that is our first assumption was the body is rigid body. So there is no deformation in engineering mechanics. You've seen that there is no deformation. The body is rigid body. And then we discuss all topics, static, dynamics, kinematics, kinetics, whatever it is, forces and all, center of gravity, all topics we discuss by considering rigid body. So what is rigid body? Basically, when there is no deformation in a body under the action of forces and motion, it transmitting. So I hope it is clear. Rigid body, no need to discuss more. Then inertia. Next topic is inertia. Anyone please tell me what is inertia?
Mass upon body, rigid body. The
Means you are saying mass of body
change in
is
motion.
inertia.
Yes, sir. Mass upon body.
Mass is inertia. Okay. Any other?
The tendency of a body to resist any change in its motion.
That's right. That's right. That is inertia. Oh, good. Any other want to say something? But the definition, just recent definition told by someone, I don't know name, but okay, that is right. It is tendency of body to resist its change in state. Let's say body is at motion. When let's say this body is there, one body is there and it is in motion, undergoing motion. And so that body, when it is in motion, it has tendency to maintain that motion. It resists to change its motion. It may be at rest or it may be in motion. We can say, so inertia we can call it as, it is a property of body by virtue of which it resists any effort to change its state. I repeat, by virtue of which it resists any effort to change its state. Body is offering resistance to change its state. That property is called inertia. Now, another way you can also say it is property of body by virtue of which it remains in its state of uniform motion, or you can say it remains in state of rest or in uniform motion until a force applied on it. So body has tendency to maintain its position, maintain its, we can say that motion is called as inertia. Any example of inertia you can tell me?
The
Can you tell
jerk
me example of inertia? Yes,
the
please.
body experiences when we apply brakes.
Means we experience jerk when we apply brake. That you are saying.
Yes, means our body is going forward, but when we apply brake, the lower body suddenly stops, but our upper body remains in the state of motion.
Okay, that is one. Good. Okay. Any other example? I told you basic concept. It is property of body by virtue of which it resists any effort to change its state. That state may be any state, either motion, either rest or uniform motion. So it has resistance to change its motion, change its state. It's nothing but inertia. Any other example? See, I'm not going in detail because already these topics are covered, but we just need to revise it. Yes, inertia. Other example? Yes. Have you seen any rotating bodies operated by electric motor?
Fan keeps
When
on
you,
working after it's turned off.
Uh,
that's what I'm saying. You
Actually,
just take example of fan. Fan
backward force
example.
when the bus moves quickly from rest.
Just repeat, please.
So we feel a backward force when the bus actually moves from the rest.
That's what the same example given by previous one. But you are right. Okay. I talk about the fans. When we switch on the fan or switch off the fan, what do you observe? The
It
ceiling
takes
fans I'm
some
talking
time to
about.
come in motion or come to rest.
That's what, that is also example of inertia. Are you getting? These are the basic examples. It is not a big concept. Okay, remember. Just we need to see with open eyes. Everywhere you can feel it. That's what inertia is. Now I hope you understand that topic. You get idea about inertia. Those who not known. Okay, now what is inertia force? Next term. Rigid body I discuss. Inertia I discuss. Next one is inertia force. Yes. Have you heard about concept of equilibrium? All of you. Have you heard about concept of equilibrium in mechanics? Are yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We generally say the body is in equilibrium, the body is not in equilibrium. I hope you heard about that. And you must. So which force is responsible to maintain their body in equilibrium? Why their body will be in equilibrium? Let's say an example. When I say that body is in motion, or we can say body is in rest, but when I say that this body is in equilibrium under the action of this force, which is the force which is responsible to maintain this body in equilibrium? What that force is called as?
Friction.
No, friction is not responsible to maintain body in equilibrium. Friction is maybe one of the
fictitious
resisting
force.
force. Yes, please.
Fictitious force.
Fictitious means? Can you elaborate that? Fictitious means? Okay. So remember, inertia force is imaginary force, which is not maybe existing in practical, but we discussed we consider it as imaginary force, which when acts on a rigid body brings it in equilibrium. Someone is saying resultant force. Remember, resultant force is responsible for motion, not for equilibrium. Let's say this body. When I apply this force up on this body, I am saying this is resultant force. So what happened due to resultant force? Due to resultant force, this body is in motion. So that body will move in direction of resultant force. Let's say in the first example, I talk about 3 forces are applied. And when I find out resultant of these forces, let's say this force is here, not in same direction, but maybe in one direction. So when I consider this body, the resultant force is acting in one particular direction. Let's say there are 3 forces and resultant of these 3 forces is here. So what happened due to this resultant force? This body on which this resultant force is acting will move in one particular direction. In direction of force, it will move. Here also, if this is resultant force, this body will move in direction of resultant forces. So resultant force is responsible for motion, not for equilibrium. I hope it is clear about resultant force. And now, if I want to maintain this body in equilibrium, as per D'Alembert principle, next time I told you here it is D'Alembert principle. The force is one imaginary force maintain their body in equilibrium. And that imaginary force, which when acts on rigid body, brings their body to equilibrium, is called as inertia force. So inertia force is that force which maintains or which brings body in equilibrium, which is responsible for equilibrium. So inertia force is responsible for equilibrium. Now, I told you it is imaginary force responsible for equilibrium. So when I say body is in equilibrium, the body is in equilibrium under the action of this resultant force and inertia force. And I showed it opposite direction because the inertia force is equal in magnitude but opposite in direction, and also it is collinear with applied force. So applied force means resultant force. So the inertia force must be in equal in magnitude, opposite in direction, and collinear with resultant force. So this is inertia force Fi. And due to these two forces, resultant force acting in this direction, inertia force acting in opposite direction along the same line of action, that is collinear. Also I can say same magnitude but opposite in direction. Hence this body is in equilibrium under the action of these two forces. Now I told you what is inertia force. It is imaginary force which is responsible, which when acts on a body brings the body in equilibrium, and its magnitude is equal to same as the resultant force, but it acts in opposite direction and it is collinear. Now inertia force magnitude. Remember, as inertia forces are due to masses, we can say, or mass of the body, inertia force is equal to Fi is equal to, it is equal to mass into acceleration. Always remember, because these accelerating components are responsible for that inertia force. So inertia force Fi is equal to mass into acceleration. That is basic concept. And also I am writing it as minus. My question to you is why it is minus? Yes, please tell me. Inertia force written generally as Fi is equal to minus Ma. But why minus Ma?
Because
Resistance.
to maintain the body in equilibrium, opposite force to the resultant force is applied.
Okay, that's why it is minus. Okay. Okay, I will not tell you now answer why it is minus. All I request everyone, just go through this topic. Just go through this basic concept on YouTube or anywhere we've seen. Anywhere you can get idea on Google or anywhere. Just all go through this basic concept and its applications or its relevance, physical significance. You'll get more idea. You'll feel it interesting. This is basically physics, not mechanics and nothing. Actually, mechanical engineering is half physics. If you learn 12 physics properly, 11, 12 physics, or basically I'm saying 8 to 10 physics also properly, then mechanical engineering is very easy. And you get real feel of engineering. Otherwise, you don't know these concepts and then I don't know how you remember, how you go for that. It's just theoretical then. Okay, so I request everyone just go through this basic concept. It will help you to learn engineering proper way. Now my next point I want to highlight here is I talk about inertia force. Inertia force magnitude M into A. Let's say talk about inertia torque now. Same concept here. So instead of inertia force, I replace this force by torque. And you know when I can replace force by torque? When torque is there, when force is there, that is known to you. So we can say inertia torque is an imaginary torque. Instead of force, I am replacing torque. Everything is same. Inertia torque is imaginary torque, which when applied on rigid body, brings it in equilibrium. And it's equal in magnitude, but opposite in direction as that of applied torque. Let's say consider one body is there. And let's say I apply some force here at certain distance from radius. So what happens when I apply some force at a certain distance from radius? This F is a force acting at distance R. What happened to this body?
It will rotate.
It will rotate. Okay. Why it will rotate? You are right. Why it will rotate? Very simple. Na? See, in this case, what happened? Tell me. This is all basics of mechanics. In this case, what happened? When I apply this force here at the center of the, I'm saying at the center, what happened to this body? Tangential force, you are saying. Okay. See, what happened due to this force? The body will move linearly. Yes or no? In this case.
So it is a
The body will
rotational force.
move. Which I'm talking about here it is. This body I'm showing. Hello. Just see this page please. I'm saying this force. In this case, this body will move. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Under the action of this force. In this case also it will move in this direction. But if I, instead of applying force at the center of gravity, or I'm saying center of mass, if I apply some force or about center of rotation, I'm not applying. At certain distance from center, let's say it is circular body, I'm applying at certain radius, applying force. What happens? This body will undergo some torque, and the torque is equal to F into R. Yes or no? Force into radius, distance, perpendicular distance. So it will undergo some torque. I'm showing like this in direction. So this will cause this body to rotate about its center of rotation. So what is inertia torque now? This is applied torque. Let's say T is applied torque. Or if you want, you can say resultant torque, TR. Now inertia torque will act in opposite direction to maintain this body in equilibrium. The same concept here. Fr is resultant force. Fi is inertia force applied in opposite direction to maintain this body in equilibrium. So here in this case, instead of linear force, I can't say linear force, but instead of linear motion, now there is rotational motion. So torque is applied here and the resultant torque is there. Due to that, there will be rotational motion maybe. But here, to maintain this body in equilibrium, an opposite directional force, that is inertia torque is applied to maintain this body in equilibrium. And now the magnitude of inertia torque, I can write as Ti is equal to, torque is equal to basic formula is
I omega.
omega.
Alpha.
Very simple. It's not omega, it's alpha. Why alpha? You can see here. Force is equal to mass into acceleration. Unit check kar rahe. Keep one thing in mind. When you are confused about forces or any formula, just check its units on both sides. You will get idea whether I'm right or means it is no need to mug up this things. उसको रटने की जरूरत नहीं है. You think practically. F is equal to m into a. M. Mass is there, acceleration is there. If it is rotational motion, then what happen? Mass will be inertia. Mass moment of inertia. Mass is replaced by mass moment of inertia. Of course, I have to discuss this term. Mass moment of inertia. What it is. So mass will replace by mass moment of inertia, and A will replace by A is what? Linear acceleration. Here it is. In this case, in both above two cases, what happens? The body will move with some acceleration linearly. Let's say that acceleration is A. But in this case, when it is rotational motion, instead of A, yes?
Angular acceleration.
Yeah, instead of linear acceleration, it will be a angular acceleration. So basically, inertia torque I can write as I into alpha. And the same way here, I will also again use here negative sign. Why negative sign? That you have to search. When I talk about inertia force or inertia torque, I use negative sign here. Fi is equal to minus m into a, that is inertia force. And Ti is equal to minus I into alpha, that is inertia torque. So I talk about what is inertia, what is inertia force, inertia torque, its formulas. Next point is mass moment of inertia. Yes, please. Anyone now? What is mass moment of inertia?
Sir, I have one doubt, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, inertia forces are developed for very short time, na? Why we need to study inertia forces? Because after some time they vanishes. So why need to study inertia forces, sir?
Very good question, actually. See, this question must be there in your mind. Why we are going to study inertia forces? See, we know D'Alembert principle. Have you heard about D'Alembert principle?
No, sir.
No. You are DSC student or regular student?
Sir, regular student.
You don't know in engineering mechanics you are not studied D'Alembert principle?
Sir, actually not remembering, sir.
Not remember. Anyone can tell me D'Alembert principle? Lakshat kya? Actually, frankly speaking, when you study any subject like engineering mechanics, why I am repeating engineering mechanics many times? Because here that is core subject of mechanical as well as civil. But I'm saying, see, basically I'm dealing with design background, and when you see subjects of design engineering, like say engineering mechanics, strength of material, now it is COM, which was old. It is TOM 1, TOM 2, then DME 1, DME 2, that design of machine element 1, design of machine element 2, MSD, then DOM. All the subject require these basics. So you prepare your engineering mechanics properly. Not I'm saying don't go for the derivations, but get basic concept here. And if you don't remember D'Alembert principle, I will say the dynamics part you are not prepared, or you don't know anything about dynamics. Because in engineering mechanics there are two parts. See, I'm not blaming you, please. I'm telling for all. Engineering mechanics there are only two parts: statics and dynamics in the first year. And when you start with dynamics, the D'Alembert principle plays very important role in order to solve dynamics problems in mechanics. And of course, you also know that, but you don't remember. तुला माहित असणार ते, पण तुला आठवत नाही नक्की काय ते. फॉर बॉडी इन इक्विलिब्रियम सम ऑफ ऑल फोर्स. येस, दॅट्स व्हॉट. Okay, anyone please? D'Alembert principle. What is D'Alembert principle? F minus m into a is equal to 0. Very good. Rajesh, I think Rajesh told me that. Can you explain it? F minus m into a is equal to 0. What it is? Mathematically, you are right. Equation is right. Actually, I was thinking I will just cover this topic in 5 minutes and I'll go for main topic. But now I come to know that yes,
So,
it is essential to discuss these topics.
so the negative
Yes.
means in the D'Alembert it is the form in which the force plus the negative of the
Yes.
mass times the acceleration of the body is equal to 0.
Okay. Not right. Not wrong. I'm saying. Any other?
So like
Rajesh,
it
can you
has to-
repeat, please?
So like for example, if we are keeping something on a table and it has its weight, so that weight will be mg, which will be acting downwards, and at the same time the table will be applying its opposite force on it, not force but kind of that reaction force. So it will help to keep in the equilibrium. So that the reaction force is that F, and mg is that ma in the formula, which I guess my friend Rajesh has written in the chat box.
Yeah, right. See, okay. Now you are getting basic idea about D'Alembert. You are not wrong. But what I'm saying, basically, whenever we are going to see dynamic force analysis, D'Alembert principle plays important role. Because whenever we are saying equilibrium, to solve problems on equilibrium or to solve dynamics problems, we must know about D'Alembert principle. And in order to use that principle, we need to find out inertia forces on a rigid body. Hello? In order to use D'Alembert, what I'm saying, in order to use this principle, it is necessary to find inertia force or inertia of a rigid body. And of course, it depends upon again radius of gyration of the body that we see in the next topic. So, in order to use D'Alembert principle, it is essential to find out inertia forces. I hope you got my got your answer. Why it is required to find out inertia torque, inertia forces, and why we consider it, even though it is sudden. You are saying it is not for a permanently, or it is just for a small time. But in order to use D'Alembert principle, we need to require to find out inertia force. And because of course to solve any dynamics problem, basically we go for equilibrium. And when you are going for equilibrium, we are going to use D'Alembert principle. When you are going to use D'Alembert principle, it is essential to find out inertia and inertia forces. That is what need to study inertia force. I hope you got answer. Who asked? I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Omkar. Okay. Means to use D'Alembert principle, it is essential to find out inertia torque, inertia forces, and hence we are going to study it. Of course, to study inertia forces, we need to find out some more terms like radius of gyration. That I'll talk later on. Okay. Where I think we were discussing mass moment of inertia. Yes, please. Anyone? What is mass moment of inertia? Inertia we discuss. There is difference between inertia and mass moment of inertia. I know that most of you know the formula for mass moment of inertia. That is nothing but, I'll write here, I, that is mass moment of inertia. Already we use here, you see here. In the torque formula, inertia torque, what is inertia torque? I said here, I into alpha. What is this I?
Moment of inertia. Mass moment
Don't
of
say
inertia.
moment of inertia. There is confusion. Don't say moment of inertia. Actually, have you completed SOM?
Mass moment of
Strength of material? Hello? Have you completed SOM? Have you learned SOM subject or not? Strength of material?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
I think regular student completed, na?
solid mechanics.
First semester.
Yes, sir.
And DSC
Yes,
student,
sir.
you also completed in DSC student, you also completed in diploma. So my question to you is,
Yes, sir.
someone said, someone said it's I will not call it as that is, I will not call it as moment of inertia, but instead of in more specifically, I will call it as mass moment of inertia. Can anyone tell me why specifically define here mass moment of inertia? Not
Because
moment of inertia?
is the measure
Yes,
of
please, Tanaya.
it is the measure of mass distributed inside the body. Means we define the mass described distributed in that body that is nothing but mass moment of inertia.
As per you means you are saying distribution of mass in a body is nothing but mass moment of inertia.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Any other, please? This is discussion, please, all of you. Be part of the discussion. Don't hesitate to tell answer. It may be right, it may be wrong. This is discussion. I'm not saying you are 100% right, but you should discuss. See, basically in strength of material, I want to now see it is combination of DSA and regular. It's okay. Rotate due to its own mass. Okay, Sushant is saying. What I'm saying is, listen now. Moment of inertia I. There are two types of inertia you might learn. One is mass moment of inertia. And I'm saying specifically two that you learn. I'm saying mass moment of inertia. Other one is area moment of inertia. In strength of material, when you are solving numericals, let's say, I hope there is topic moment of inertia. Okay. In that case, which moment of inertia you are using? You are finding I for C sections, for I sections. You find out that. I hope you know that.
Yeah.
Area.
Yes, please. Which you are
Area
finding?
moment of inertia.
Yes, that's important. And when we use mass moment of inertia, there is distinction, clear distinction between area moment of inertia and mass moment of inertia. I hope you get idea. So don't say it is moment of inertia. There is area moment of inertia and deformable body mechanics. That is strength of material. We find out area moment of inertia. Now I am discussing about mass moment of inertia. That is I. In one word, I can say, see, try to understand what I'm saying. Mass moment of inertia of rigid body measures resistance to angular acceleration. I repeat, mass moment of inertia of rigid body measures, or say defines, or you can say calculate or determines, you can say, resistance to the angular acceleration. How much resistance their body is offering to angular acceleration is nothing but mass moment of inertia. The physical significance I'm telling you. And how to find out it now? We know that I is equal to m into k square. Now what this I is equal to m into k square? We consider one body. I hope it is known to you like this. And then we consider different masses m1, m2, m3, m4, some one up to mn. Let's say consider one axis about which this body is assumed to be rotated. So when I say this mass is m1, sorry, this mass is m1, another mass is m2 up to mn, let's say. And we know that if I consider the distance of this body, this mass m1 from a reference axis, let's say it is k1, this distance of this body from reference axis is k2 up to, if it is mn, then it is kn. Then how I can write this I? We know it is for a different, let's say, we consider body of mass m, and this body come. Yes, please. Hello, please tell me. Okay. We consider body of mass m. This body is composed of small particles of masses m1, m2, m3, and k1, k2, k3 are distance of these masses from reference lines. Now, if mass of every particle of body is multiplied by square of its distance, perpendicular distance from reference line, let's say mass is multiplied by square of distance from a reference line, then sum of these quantities is called as a mass moment of inertia mathematically. I told you what is mass moment of inertia. Basically, it is resistance to angular acceleration. But now, in order to find out that, I can write it as I is equal to mass multiplied by its distance from reference line, m1 into k1 square up to m2 into k2 square up to, I can write up to, last up to mn into kn square. This is for a different particles having the mass m having different composed particles like m1, m2, m3. And now if I consider total mass of the body is assumed to be concentrated at one point, known as the center of mass or center of gravity of body. Then, and of course it is at distance of k, let's say, means when I consider this body, same body I just considered here, and the body is its whole total mass of the body is assumed to be concentrated at one point, known as mass of the center of mass or center of gravity. Remember, there are clear distinction between center of mass, center of gravity. Okay. So in strength of in engineering mechanics, you in second topic, unit number 2, you might go through that. So go through these topics in detail. But now I'm going to consider this both as same. There is center of mass and center of gravity. Whether it is same or not, that you need to check. So when I consider this mass of the body is assumed to be constant at one point, let's say total mass is m and its distance is k from a reference line. Then we can write this m into k square is equal to this m1, this that means this complete summation. I can write summation of mi into ki square, where I vary from 1 to n, we can say. Okay, so this is nothing but again formula for mass moment of inertia, that is I. And what is k here? I is nothing but mass moment of inertia.
Radius of gyration.
I is mass moment of inertia, m is mass of the body, and k is radius of gyration. Okay, and now remember, we need to find out, in order to know, I have told you to solve problems in static and dynamic force analysis. Here in our topic, we need to consider inertia force, y inertia force. In order to apply D'Alembert principle, we need to go for inertia force, and to find out inertia force. What is inertia force you see here? Fi, or you can say torque. To find inertia force, what I need to find out? I. But to find out I, what I find out? K. I repeat once again. We need to solve dynamics problems, statics problems. Static force analysis, dynamic force analysis. What we require inertia force. In order to find inertia force, inertia torque, what I have to find out? I. What is I? What is I here?
Mass moment of inertia.
So means to find out torques, inertia torque, I have to find out mass moment of inertia. But to find out mass moment of inertia, what we need to find out? K. So finally, we have to start from K and then we'll proceed further for analysis. So it is essential to determine radius of gyration. My conclusion is, actually I want to start this lecture with this topic, but okay, it took time. Okay. In order to solve a static or dynamic force analysis numericals or problems, we can say, we need to first find out what is radius of gyration. Once I get radius of gyration, what we can find out from here? I can find out mass moment of inertia. Once I know mass moment of inertia, what I can find out? Yes. What is this? Inertia torques. And this inertia torque I will use to find out, I can use in a equilibrium problems. That is D'Alembert principle. To solve it, this is nothing but used for solving equilibrium problems. Dynamic equilibrium, static equilibrium, we are using this. Means to solve a static and dynamic force analysis problem, I have to first find out radius of gyration. Once I get radius of gyration, provided that mass is known, I can find out mass moment of inertia. Once mass moment of inertia is known, then I can find out inertia torque. And once inertia torque is known, I will use that terms to get dynamic force analysis or to get solution of dynamic problems. That's what sequence I am just want to tell you. That's why I discuss these terms. Now what remaining is, okay, D'Alembert principle, you have to search what D'Alembert principle. I will just only say, in order to maintain dynamic equilibrium, D'Alembert principle is used. So before next lecture, when we start with our next topic, we must know, you must search about what is D'Alembert principle. It is not new science, rocket science. It is just simply, I'll tell you, it is nothing but this only. See, let's say this is inertia resultant force and this inertia force. Under the action of these two forces, resultant force and inertia force, the body is in equilibrium. So what I can write when I say body is in equilibrium, I can write here this Fr is equal to inertia force. What? Fi. Under the action of these two forces, body is in equilibrium. Fr is equal to Fi. That is nothing but Fr minus Ma. Ma means I'm saying Fi is equal to 0. But what is this minus Ma? It is nothing but Fi. That is, I can write here Fr plus Fi is equal to 0. And that's what we can write. What is Fi? Fi is equal to minus M into A. I ask you actually why it is minus. This is just proof for this. Okay, I think it is just too complicated looking here. Just I'm drawing separately if you are confused. What I said, under the action of these two forces, one force is Fr, other force is inertia force. What I can write for equilibrium, this Fr must be equal to Fi, or you can say mass into acceleration, m into a. I'm writing Fr minus m is equal to 0. Net force will be 0. So what is this m into a? It is nothing but inertia force, because this is resultant force and this one is inertia force. How much magnitude of inertia force is here for equilibrium? That is nothing but Fi. So I can write here Fr plus Fi is equal to 0. But what is Fi? It's nothing but this. That is inertia force is equal to minus m into a. This is what mathematical calculations for a D'Alembert principle. Under the action of these two forces, body is in equilibrium. Or you can say, in order to maintain equilibrium, inertia force must be applied in opposite direction. That's what D'Alembert principle is. In order to in simple language, I'm telling you, in order to maintain equilibrium, inertia force must be applied in opposite direction of resultant force. And under the action of these two forces, that body is in equilibrium. Okay. Same thing for torque also. This is for linear motion. If I consider torque here, let's say like this. So we know that, let's say I'm applying this resultant force Fr at certain distance from this CG. Let's say this is CG point. I applied at distance h. What happened to this force? This body will rotate. That is torque is equal to I into alpha. This body will rotate. So TR, that is torque, resultant torque is I alpha. I can write resultant torque minus I alpha is equal to 0. What is this minus I alpha? Nothing but inertia torque. So Ti is equal to minus I alpha. Already I told you these terms. So just application of D'Alembert principle to maintain the body in equilibrium. I just given you a brief idea about D'Alembert principle, how it is in equilibrium, and how there are two forces, that is resultant force and inertia force. In this case, it is resultant torque. So opposite will be inertia torque, Ti. Now how much it is? I alpha, minus I alpha. Okay. I talk about now D'Alembert principle, its basic use. How much time we are having? Okay. Last term I want to discuss with you, and then we'll stop this lecture. What is SHM?
Simple harmonic motion.
I have not asked full form, please. Okay. All we know it is a simple harmonic motion. Of course, you're right. You are not wrong. Can you explain it? What is simple harmonic motion? That is what explanation. Expectation is. Yes, please. Anyone? Fast, huh? Just we have 2-3 minutes.
To and fro motion in a body.
Okay. Can I say motion of simple pendulum is SHM? Or a simple pendulum motion?
Sir, it
Is
is
it
a,
SHM motion?
it is a restoring the
example?
forces.
Yes, Harshal, please.
Sir, it is a restoring the forces on the moving object.
Okay. SHM, simple harmonic motion. Just define this motion, please.
So actually, it is a special type of periodic motion, sir, where the restoring forces on the moving object is directly proportional to the object's displacement and.
Yes, Sagar, you're right. We can say, I will not take more time. I'll directly go for definition as only. We can say we define the motion. It is defined as a motion in acceleration. Motion in which acceleration is, now why acceleration you say motion is there? The body is moving about this mean position. This is mean position, and about this mean position, the body is having motion, to and fro motion, with some two extreme ends, we can say, like this. This is an example of simple harmonic motion. Okay. So about this, it will oscillate. Extreme ends 1, extreme end 2, and this is mean position. What I said, this motion of this body, let's say Bob is here. When motion, it is a simple harmonic motion, is a motion in which acceleration, this body is accelerating. Acceleration is directly proportional to displacement from mean position and directed towards mean position. So whenever acceleration is directly proportional to displacement from mean position, then that motion is called as a simple harmonic motion. Now how we get this formula? Basic formula we are getting, I'm directly writing here. A is equal to omega square into x is your basic equation for acceleration of simple harmonic motion, in which we can see here this acceleration is proportional, directly proportional to motion from, sorry, displacement from mean position. So it is maybe x toward this side, x toward that side. So here in simple harmonic motion, acceleration is directly proportional to displacement from mean position, and of course it is directed towards mean position. Now how to get this equation that is known to you basically? We start with our displacement. We can see like this. Okay, I'm not going interested for derivation, but I'll tell you how to derive this equation. A is equal to omega square x. Means we consider here one body is there, one point is there moving around a circle. Now tell me, the motion of the particle around a circle is an example of SHM or not? Motion of particle along circular path is example of SHM is not. SHM or not?
Sir, it is a circular motion, no?
No, it is not a, means I can say it is not a example. It is not example of SHM. Let's say consider, see now, this particle is at point P. Let's say take one or two more time now, sometime now. The particle is at point P, and I consider its motion. Let's say its displacement from mean. This is your mean position in this case. So from mean position, its displacement is small x, and its highest position is, let's say here it is. At this highest position, its amplitude we can say is x. Displacement from mean position is x. Now if I plot this graph on I plot this motion on this axis here. Let's say it is pi. It is 2 pi. Further you can 3 pi and 4 pi we can take. Now tell me, at 0 degree, means when it is at 0 degree, what is mean displacement from mean position? 0. At 180 degree, how much displacement is?
X.
At 180, sorry, at 90. It is x, na, capital X. So let's say it is x capital X. Maximum displacement at 90 degree means pi by 2, it is here. At pi, where it is? Pi means 180. This particle is moving from this position to, you see this motion I'm saying, particle is moving along this path. At 0 degree, it is here. Someone text something in chat box. Can you tell me that?
Sir,
Okay, what I'm trying to
projection of
yes, please, yes.
projection of
Hello, yes, please.
particle performing circular motion on the horizontal axis is SHM.
That's correct. That's what I'm trying to explain. Okay. Now see here. When I consider at 0 degree it is at here, where at 90 degree it is at x, capital X, at 180 degree again at 0. Then at 270 it is somewhere here, capital X, but in opposite direction. And then at 0 at 360 again it is here. If I draw this, then how the graph is like this. Now is it SHM? Yes or no? It is SHM or not? Yes, it is. And in this case, what I'm saying, okay, what I want to tell you is how the acceleration is. Just I want to explain mean position concept. Okay. So here acceleration of this particle is proportional, directly proportional to displacement from mean position. So here it is how it is how proportional to displacement from mean position, that I explain with the help of this example. Now remember, two more terms are there called a time period. And time period is nothing but, I hope you know that term. Time period, what time period? Time taken by that body for a motion to repeat itself, or you can say time required to complete one cycle. So how much time required to complete this cycle is nothing but a time period. And what is frequency? Number of cycles per unit time is frequency. So two terms, last term, frequency and time period. Now see, from this what I can write, A is equal to omega square x. So what is omega? What is omega? Root of A by x, yes or no? Or yes or no? If A is omega square x, what is omega? Angular velocity is equal to root of A by x. What is A and what is x?
Yes, sir.
Acceleration. And what is x? Displacement. So, and what is time period formula? 2 pi upon omega. How it is there? Just very simple. I don't have time, but we'll discuss. Time period is 2 pi upon omega. And what is frequency? Omega upon 2 pi. Yes or no?
Yes.
Time period is equal to 2 pi upon omega. Frequency is equal to omega upon 2 pi. Just I want to explain this one. What is simple harmonic motion? What is time period? I told you time period is nothing but time required to complete one cycle. And number of cycles per unit time is nothing but frequency. So time period is 2 pi upon. How we find out this? Anyone please fast? We know that. How this formula we get? Hey, part karo na guys. Theta is equal to 2 pi. Yes or no? Or we can say theta is equal to omega into t. Basic formula. Angular displacement is equal to angular velocity in time period. So what is time period? What is theta here? 2 pi na, one cycle. 360 degree. Theta value is 360 degree. So it is 2 pi. So 2 pi is equal to omega into Tp. And hence Tp is equal to 2 pi upon omega. Remember this. Very simple. And amplitude is nothing but x. Capital X is nothing but amplitude. So what I discuss here up to now, what is SHM, time period formula, and frequency formula. Before that, we discuss some terms like statics, then dynamics, what is rigid body, inertia, inertia force, inertia torque, mass moment of inertia. We talk about D'Alembert principle. I also told you to study about this. Then I just briefly touch concept of SHM, time period, frequency, and amplitude. This is what prerequisite for starting unit number 2. Actually, I take 1 hour lecture. So I request you go through these topics, and so that we will next lecture we'll start with our main course. Clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any doubts?
No doubt, sir.
No doubt. But my request is go through these topics. They are very good topics to understand basically mechanical engineering and to solve, to get idea, to get interest in design subjects. If you know this basic concept, then you can learn in a good manner. Otherwise, just theoretical one. Means it is not theoretical. It has good, I'm saying physical significance, but important thing, you should know that. Okay. So I hope we take a prerequisite lecture for unit number 2 and it is clear to all. So thank you for attending lectures. We'll discuss next topic in our next lecture. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
One request to all, always